All right, welcome back everybody. Part 3 of an 8-part beginning yoga series. So if you haven't watched part 1 and 2, we're building on those in this video. So you can, by all means, take this class. But my recommendation would be first go through part 1, then part 2, and then part 3, because we kind of build upon each other. And then part 8 is when we kind of tie it all together. So in this part, we're going to recap what we did in the last video and add on a little bit. We'll add in what is probably outside of downward facing dog, one of the most common postures in vinyasa-based yoga. But it needs to be done right, which is why in the last video I showed Sphinx to forearm plank to locust, which I think is a much better transition for a default in vinyasa yoga, but especially for beginners, because if Chaturanga goes wrong, there's a lot that can go wrong, potentially in the shoulders if it's not done properly, if you don't have the adequate strength or control for it. So today we're going to drill Chaturanga to upward facing dog, so that way we have the foundation, so when it's offered we can do it safely and build towards a very strong transition, because it is a good transition if it's done correctly. And we'll add in some more standing balances or standing poses, going from downward facing dog to warrior 2, side angle we'll revisit, and then add in triangle, trikonasana, and warrior 1, and maybe some twisting, as if time allows for it. Again, I'm trying to keep these videos about 30 minutes in length. If we don't get to twisting in this video, we'll definitely hit it in part 4. So just to recap downward facing dog, how to set up for it, or how to get the proper length. Right, the last time I'll kind of show this, otherwise you're kind of at your own mercy to create your own length in downward facing dog, but just come onto your belly. Take your hands where your middle finger is in line with the center of your chest. And then look at your pointer fingers, right, your index fingers, and turn your left index finger at about 10 o'clock if you're looking at a clock. Turn your right index or pointer finger to about 2 o'clock. If you're looking at the hands of a clock. And then from here, tuck your toes under. Press up to all fours, so keep the knees down. Tilt your tailbone up toward the ceiling, and then press into your hands, lift your knees, straighten out your legs only to the point that you can keep this tilt to the tailbone. If the back starts to round when you straighten out your legs, bend the knees, tilt the tailbone up, press your chest back to your thighs, come into your downward facing dog. Deep breath in, take a few breaths in. Again, Ujjayi breath, inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. Again, inhale through the nose. And imagine you're fogging up a mirror, but you're doing it through your nose. If you still don't know what Ujjayi breath is, or you're having trouble kind of figuring out how to do that in your body, revisit part 1 of this video. Just take a breath here. Lift your right leg up on your inhale. On your exhale, right foot steps forward between your hands. And if you need to bring both knees down and then step your right foot forward, do so. Otherwise, just step your right foot between your hands, left knee down. Bring the hips back over this left knee. So we're just recapping Anjaneyasana. Press the left foot down. The toes can be tucked or untucked, doesn't matter. Pull the foot forward. If you need to, you can always fold your mat in half to pad this back knee, or set a yoga blanket or a towel underneath that back knee. Pull the feet towards each other, lift the hip points up, reach the arms forward, reach the arms up. All right, so Anjaneyasana, a great pose to get into the front of the hip flexors, the thigh. Reach up through the ring fingers. Stretch up. Right, the arms are overhead, so we want to lift the outer borders of our shoulder, so the outer armpit up toward the ceiling. Now staying with the leg and the torso, just reach your arms forward. I want to get the mechanics or the actions of Chaturanga arms in non-Chaturanga in a non-loaded pose, so it's a little bit easier. Make fists with your hands, and then from here, just start to pull your hands back by your armpit, so you're up here. And just notice, turn your palms forward. This is not a very powerful position. Yet this is where a lot of people's Chaturangas end up, is where their hands are in line with their shoulders, and as you can feel, there's no power here, there's no strength. So reach your arms forward and make fists. And imagine you're on a rowing machine. Start to pull your elbows down by your side waist. Feel how much stronger that is, right? Not here, here, right? So your elbows come in line with your shoulders, or right to the edge of your ribs. You want to make sure you can see your elbow crease. If you can't see your elbow crease in a Chaturanga, you've gone too far. So we're here. Turn your palms forward. Draw your shoulder blades towards each other. Pull your shoulder blades down the back. So let's imagine keeping your elbows bent like this. Just press your forearms and your elbow towards the floor. And you can feel all those powerful muscles. This is what keeps you in proper alignment for Chaturanga. We're not here, We're not kind of rounding forward. We're shoulder blades together, down our back. Take one more inhale and pull the feet towards each other. Remember this action. Exhale, hands to the mat, step back to all fours. We'll take that chaturanga. We'll take a chaturanga with that same action of the body where we're pulling ourselves into chaturanga, like we're rowing ourselves into chaturanga, but keep your knees down. So elbow creases wrap forward. And then from here, just lean as far forward as possible. Start to bend your elbows. Keep your elbows in by your side body, right? The elbows want to go out. Keep them in your side body. Shoulder blades together, shoulder blades down your back. And then lower just as low as you can while keeping the shoulder blades working towards each other. If you come into this position, you've gone too far. So right here. And then press back up to all fours. You can feel how hard that position is. Chaturanga is probably one of the hardest poses to hold for a significant amount of time. So the cue that you'll hear a lot in classes is no lower than halfway down or halfway down in Chaturanga. That's only partly correct. The correct way you want to think about Chaturanga is I'm going to lower no lower than halfway down, but only to the point that I can keep my chest broad and my shoulder blades drawing towards each other. Because if I start to come into this position, which is what happens a lot of times, is I'm putting a lot of stress on the front of my shoulder, not what we want. We want the strength to come from back here. So one more time, grip with your fingers, elbow creases wrap forward, bend your elbows and start to pull your chest forward as far as you can, and then start to bend your elbows no lower than halfway, but keep the shoulder blades going towards each other, hug the shoulder blades down your back. And then press up to all fours, downward facing dog. All right, so Chaturanga, very difficult position. Find your downward facing dog. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Inhale your left leg up and back. Exhale, step it forward, bring your right knee down, and if you need to bring both knees down to step the left foot forward, totally fine. Bring the hips back over this right knee. Toes tucked or untucked on the back foot, press it down, pull it forward. Feel the entire from the knee up through the hip on your right thigh. Left foot presses down and pulls back. Reach your arms forward, reach your arms up. Lift the outer borders of the armpits up toward the ceiling. Take a breath in, pull the feet towards each other, take a breath out. Reach the arms forward, make your fists, and just so we're consistent so you understand what not to do, draw your hands by your armpits, right back by the tops of your shoulders. You can just feel, again, I have no strength here. I have no power to be holding myself in Chaturanga position. So reach the arms back forward. And then from here, with strength and adding resistance to yourself, draw your elbows slightly low or slightly down towards your hips. So you're kind of coming right to the base of your rib cage on the sides. But see elbow, right elbow crease here. If you can't see them, you've gone too far here. And what I mean you've gone too far is now you start jamming your upper arm bone into stuff we don't want to be jamming it into. So pull the elbows down, shoulder blades together, shoulder blades down the back. So we're here. And you can just feel this power here. The more you draw your shoulder blades together, the more you press your forearms towards the floor without straightening out your arms. Take one more breath in. Exhale, hands to the mat, step back to all fours. Again, we'll work that Chaturanga action. Elbow creases forward. Shift forward onto your knees. Get your chest as far forward as possible. Already start to draw the shoulder blades together. Bend your elbows. No lower than halfway, but only to the point that you can keep your shoulder blades drawing towards each other and the shoulders rolling back. They roll forward, you've gone too far. Right, so if I'm up here and I bend my elbows and my shoulders start to run here, I've gone too far. I need to be able to maintain this broadness through the chest as I lower no lower than halfway. And then press back up. Let's do it again. Shift forward, bend your elbows, pull your hands back. That's going to help. By pressing into your hands and then tugging your hands back without moving them, that's going to help keep the chest broad and the backs of the shoulders working. And then press up to all fours. So Chaturanga, very difficult. The key is, right, we want to bring the hands or the elbows back by the lower ribs, not hands by your armpits. So when you get down, your hands should not be close to your shoulders. They should be back here, looking for potentially wrists under elbow, right? Upward facing dog, another one that gets, it's a very common posture, and the transition from Chaturanga to upward facing dog is a very common transition. Upward facing dog is a really good feel-good pose, but it does very little for the back body, unlike locust or unlike Bhujangasana Cobra. But the transition of Chaturanga to upward facing dog is a fantastic transition and it feels really nice. So to come in upward facing dog, Keep your knees on the floor. We'll start it with the knees on the floor. It's a modification for upward facing dog. Elbow creases wrap forward. Shift forward. Pull your hands back towards your knees without moving them. So it's that action of pulling the hands back. Feel the backs of your arms and shoulders. Bend your elbows, come into Chaturanga, right? No lower than where you can keep the shoulder blades drawing towards each other. And then untuck the toes, press the tops of the feet into the floor, lift your chest up toward the ceiling. So you're drawing your chest through and up, right? And now I see a lot of this, right? Where you just kind of come into this where it looks like you have no neck, right? So the key is just to press into your hands as much as you can. Draw your shoulder blades towards each other, down your back. So same action as Chaturanga, but you're pulling the shoulder blades together and down the back, hands start to pull back. And then from here, tuck your toes, downward facing dog. And then come back down onto your knees. We'll do that one more time, and then we'll add in some salutations and start using that Chaturanga to upward facing dog position. If at any point you feel like lifting your knees in either Chaturanga or upward facing dog, by all means you can go for it. Just in Chaturanga, with the knees lifted, it adds more demand. So just make sure you can consistently draw the shoulder blades together, shoulder blades down the back. Protect the front of your shoulder, okay? So come into all fours. Grip with your fingers, elbow creases wrap forward. Shift forward, look forward. Bend your elbows no lower than 90 degrees, but only to the point that you can keep your shoulder blades towards each other and down your back. And then untuck the toes, press the feet into the floor, lift your chest up. Don't collapse into the hands. Press down like you're trying to press the floor away from you. If you want, press into the tops of your feet, engage your quads, lift your kneecaps. But shoulder blades aren't rolling forward. They're rolling back. Heads of the shoulders roll back. And then tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Come down onto your knees. So that transition, right, of Chaturanga, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. In your yoga journey, you're going to do that thousands and thousands of times, which means that you have thousands and thousands of times to practice it, but you also have it thousands and thousands of times to get wrong, potentially doing something to the front of your shoulder. We want to make sure we avoid that by always working shoulder blades together, shoulder blades down the back. Step to the top of your mat. I want to do that transition one more time for those of you who want to lift your knees in Chaturanga and in upward facing dog to downward facing dog, can do so. So stand at the top of your mat. Reach your arms forward, make your fist. And again, just to feel what we don't want to feel when we lower. Bring your hands back by your shoulders, right by your armpits. Turn your palms forward and just feel that. There's no power here. This is not a power position. Reach your arms forward, make fists. And then draw your elbows down by your side waist, but see your elbow creases. Palms face forward. Shoulder blades wrap towards each other. Elbows press towards the floor, but the arms stay bent. And now you feel all these muscles working. You feel your chest working, backs, sides of the shoulders, between the shoulder blades working. Now engage your quads. Draw your lower ribs in as much as you can. There is Chaturanga, right? We're just in a standing Chaturanga, right? So come back to all fours. If you want to stay with knees down, if Chaturanga for you is very difficult with the knees down, which it totally is, stay with that, right? Otherwise, come to all fours, right? Elbow creases wrap forward. Stay here or come back into plank, right? And either knees down or knees lifted, just shift forward, look forward. Don't look down, look forward. Start to bend your elbows only to the point that you can keep your shoulder blades together. Pull your hands back. Untuck the toes, come to the tops of your feet, upward facing dog. But press into your hands, shoulder blades together down your back. And then exhale, curl the toes, press back, downward facing dog. And then walk to the top of your mat. One more time, we'll do that standing Chaturanga, and then we'll move on the breath, and I'll allow you to kind of keep the knees lifted or bring the knees down. Reach the arms forward. Make your fists. And then pull your elbows down by your side waist. Feel that power in your body. Palms face forward, shoulder blades together. As you draw the shoulder blades, feel the collarbones broaden. That's what we're looking for. And then press or slide your shoulder blades down your back, right? Lower ribs in, engage your quads. So the front of your thighs are fired. Take a breath in. And then slowly release. We'll add in our salutation. So Ujjayi breath. We'll go some lunge salutations, and then we'll take Chaturanga to upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Anytime you want to bring your knees down, bring your knees down. Let's do a half salutation to set our rhythm. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, chest forward. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, come all the way up, reach up through the ring finger. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Adding in some lunges but maintaining the breath. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold, just moving and breathing. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, right foot back, knee down, Anjaneyasana. Inhale, arms forward, arms up. Exhale, hands down, either plank or all fours with your knees down. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, Chaturanga, draw the shoulder blades together. Inhale, roll to the tops of your feet, upward facing dog, knees down or knees lifted. Exhale, downward facing dog. Good. Inhale, your right leg up and back. Exhale, step it forward, left knee down. Inhale, arms forward, arms up. Exhale, hands down, step forward, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, take any rounding out of the spine, chest forward. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, come all the way up, reach up. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. We'll do the left side. Inhale, halfway lift. Left foot back, knee down. Inhale, reach the arms forward, reach the arms up. Exhale, hands down, plank or all fours with the knees down. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, lower Chaturanga. You can bring your knees down. Inhale, roll to the tops of your feet, upward facing dog, press into your hands. Exhale, roll onto the toes, downward facing dog. Inhale, your left leg up and back. Exhale, step it forward, right knee down. Inhale, arms forward, arms up. Exhale, hands down, step forward, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, come all the way up, reach up. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Surya Namaskar A, Sun A, same rhythm of breath. Follow me. Inhale, reach up, stay consistent with the breath. Exhale through the nose, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step back, plank. You can always bring your knees down. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, Chaturanga, knees down or knees up. Inhale, roll to the tops of the feet, upward facing dog. Chest forward, shoulder blades together. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your heels. Exhale, bend your knees, step to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift, chest forward, long spine. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plank, step back. Inhale and plank. Exhale, Chaturanga, knees down or knees lifted. Inhale, pull yourself into upward facing dog. Shoulder blades together, down your back. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your heels. Exhale, bend your knees, step to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift, long spine. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, come all the way up, reach up. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Using the same rhythm, same transitions, we'll just take it back and pause in downward facing dog. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plank. Inhale and plank. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog, pull the hands back. Exhale, downward facing dog. Pause here, find your Ujjayi breath. Stay with the rhythm of breath. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale your right leg up. Exhale, step it forward, Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. And if you need to bring your knees down, get your right foot forward, you can. And then spin your left foot flat, come all the way up. So left toes either straight out to the side, or you can think foot parallel to the back of your mat, or slightly turn forward. We've visited this pose now in every single one of the videos. It's one of the most popular or most common poses. Right knee over the right heel. This left hip actually a little bit forward and down. Not squaring hips to the side. That's just not possible, especially for a lot of beginners. Left hip forward and down. See big toe to the inside of the knee, and then pull your feet towards each other. Reach your arms wide. All right, but reach out of the fingers. All right, so it's not just noodle arms here. active arms. But shoulders are not up by the ears. Shoulder blades are back and down. Come into side angle, right hand to the right thigh. Left arm up, breath in, breath out. Keep pulling your feet towards each other. Again, we visited this pose last time. We're trying to create an angle from the crown of our head to our hip to our left heel. Inner thighs are active by pulling the feet towards each other, reaching out of this left arm, rolling the left shoulder open. Everything stays the same. New pose, Trikonasana. Just straighten out your right leg. Take your right hand to your right shin, maybe just below the knee, maybe down by the ankle. But what we see a lot is this, right? You see this rounding, this hump here on the left ribs, and the lower ribs are rounding. So from here, just come up a little bit and think about squeezing left ribs to left hip. Try to maintain that side angle shape of crown of the head to the tailbone. Here, left arm up. If you need to have a slight bend to your left knee, have a slight bend to your left knee. Deep breath in, deep breath out. But you should feel some stretch to the hamstring. Right, deep breath in, and then come all the way up. How it's probably going to get taught to you a lot for triangle pose is it's going to be come up here, turn your hips square, and I want you to do this with me so you know why I teach it different and why I think you should practice it different. Is they try to square the hips to the side of the room, and then now just try to come into a fold. Probably feeling very limited here in the hamstring and a lot of compression here and a lot of rounding here. So you're feeling your hip joint, the bones kind of hitting each other. You're getting stuck, right? This doesn't feel very good, right? Or it doesn't feel anything at all. So come all the way up. Again, bump this right hip back, left hip forward a little bit. And then from here, just fold to the inside of your right leg. Keep your chest reaching forward. Right hand to the right shin. Chest forward, left hip rolls open until it stops. Once it stops, reach the left arm up. Or come back up, bend your right knee into warrior two. Take this left hip a little forward and down. Come into side angle, right? And then from side angle, just straighten out your right leg. Everything stays the same, it's just a right leg straight. So the base, the torso, everything stays from warrior two down. It's just changing the angle of the legs or the torso. And then rebend your right knee, come into warrior two, take a breath in. Exhale, hands to the mat, step back, plank. Either plank or bring your knees down. Press into your hands. Come all the way onto your toes if you're on your toes, or just lean as far onto your knees as possible. Bend your elbows, keep the elbows into the side body. Shoulder blades together, pull them down your back. Inhale, upward facing dog. Knees lifted or down, doesn't matter today. Exhale, downward facing dog. Deep breath in. Deep breath out through the nose. Inhale your left leg up and back. Exhale, left foot forward. Again, if you need to bring both knees down, bring both knees down. Spin your right heel down to the floor. Come all the way up, warrior two. So left knee, again, I can see the big toe to the inside of the knee. Right hip is a little forward and down. Feet are pulling towards each other. And then arms are active, like I'm trying to reach them apart from each other. But I'm not reaching them up towards ears. I'm softening the shoulders. Back and down. Deep breath in, reach through the fingers, gaze over your left middle finger. Deep breath out. Come into side angle, left hand down, right arm up. Again, right hip a little forward and down, chest forward and up, and then your rib cage rolls open. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Inhale, maintain your Ujjayi breath. Exhale. And then from here, everything stays the same. Just straighten out your left leg. Bring your hand to your shin. As low towards the ankle as possible or to the floor or up by your knee. But what you're looking for is not this rounding. You want the chest reaching forward and a long spine. You can see as I round, my spine starts to curve. I'm looking for that position here. And the only way I can really find it is if I roll my right hip a little forward, draw my left hip a little back, chest forward, keep this, and then right rib cage roll open. There's so much more to triangle that will work as you progress in your practice. But for today, all you need to think about is coming from side angle and just straightening out your left leg. And then rebend your left knee, come into warrior two. So we get it on both sides. Straighten out this left leg. Turn your hips toward the side. This is how you're going to feel it. Right? Or people are going to try to teach you how to get into it. And then just come down. And just feel. It's hard for me to even do it because I haven't done it this way in a long time. Right? Hips square to the side and just kind of come into triangle pose. Not so hot, right? This doesn't really, it's either it doesn't do very much or it just doesn't feel very good. So come all the way up. Bend your left knee, right hip a little forward and down. So it's a little bit like you're trying to square your right hip to the front, but you're not. You're just going a little bit forward. And then from here, come into side angle. Left hand to your thigh. Straighten out your left leg. Left hand comes to the shin, up by the knee or down by the ankle, whatever degree of flexibility you have. Chest forward so you feel your spine lengthen. Keep in the spine lengthen. Just roll your right ribs open until the hip and the ribs stop. Stop moving it, right arm toward the ceiling. Triangle pose. And then rebend your left knee. Come into warrior two, take a breath in. Exhale, hands to the mat, step back, plank. Inhale in plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Deep breath in, deep breath out. You want to add in another standing pose. So inhale your right leg up. Exhale, right foot steps forward, Virabhadrasana 1, so warrior 1. So same thing, you'll just spin your left foot flat, but this time it's a little bit sharper of an angle. Like your left toes are pointing into the same degree as your upper left corner, or think a 45-degree angle if you're good with geometry. Right? I like to take in warrior 1, feet hip width distance. So I take a hip width distance stance, and then come all the way up. Keep your right knee over your right heel. Reach the arms straight up. Right hip pulls back until it stops. Left hip pulls forward until it stops. Once it stops moving, stop moving it. And then adjust your shoulders so they're square with your hips. A lot of times you'll hear square your hips and your shoulders to the front of the room. The hips won't square to the front of the room. So let's stop trying to square the body outside of the body, square the body within the body. Your lower back will thank you for it. So instead of trying to square shoulders to the front, look down at your hips, square your shoulders with your hips. So you're going to be kind of at an angle to the top left corner. You're not quite open in warrior 2. You're not square to the front of the room. You're right at about the upper left corner of your mat. If you're wearing a tank top, what you can look down, as you can see, is no bunching in the tank top. Because if I'm twisted too much into one side, I can see here now it's the right side. If I'm too open here, you can see the left side's bunching. I want to get to where no bunching, and then arms forward, arms up. Right, you want to find equal sensation across the back. Keep reaching your hands up. If you're not wearing a shirt, look for the center of your chest, belly button, pubic bone, all in line with each other, not one twisted one way. Right. Press down into your left foot and then pull your feet towards each other. So the inner thighs are working. And as you pull and lift the inner thigh, your back leg, you're going to feel all 3 points of contact. Big toe mound, baby toe mound, center of your heel, all plug in. Deep breath in. Squeeze this back quad. Deep breath out. So back thigh is engaged. One more breath in. Exhale, hands to the mat, step back, downward facing dog. Inhale your left leg up and back. Exhale, step it forward between the hands. Spin your right heel down, but more at an angle. So you're at a sharper angle towards this upper right corner of the mat. Feet hip width distance. Think railroad tracks, not tight ropes. Keep this left knee bent right over the heel. So bend it down if you need to do it even more. And then reach the arms up. Right, left hip back till it stops. Once it stops moving, adjust your shoulders so they're square with your hips. They're pointing in the same direction as your hips. So it's a little bit towards the upper right corner of your mat. Reach the arms up. Biggest thing to pay attention to is, how does your lower back feel? Do you feel equal sensation on both sides of the spine? If so, you've got it good. All right, reach up. Engage the back leg. So the back quad is engaged, back foot pressing down, and then pull your feet towards each other. Deep breath in. Now, a lot of times what happens is we come into this back bend here. Lower ribs flare out. Hug the lower ribs in. So what you're thinking about is pulling back here, reaching up. Deep breath in, reach up through the ring fingers, arms overhead, so reach up, outer armpit lengthens. One more breath in. Exhale, hands to the mat, step back, plank, or bring your knees down. Take a breath in, shift forward, lower chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog, knees up or knees lifted, or knees down, doesn't matter. Exhale, downward facing dog. I want to introduce twisting so in our next video we're comfortable with it, or we have an idea of where we're going. So inhale, reach your right leg up. Exhale, step it forward into crescent. Remember, crescent lunge, feet hip width distance, just like in warrior 1, knee on warrior 2, knee over heel, knee over ankle. Back heel lifts high, toes facing straight forward, right, like you're on skis. right? Straight forward and feet hip width distance or even a little bit wider. Bend your back knee, hip points up, and then straighten out your back leg. Arms forward, arms up. Now turn your palms forward. Imagine you're taking a pull-up, so make fists, and then take an imaginary pull-up, elbows slightly lower than your shoulders. Take a breath in, draw the lower ribs in. And then on your exhale, with this length in the torso, just twist the torso to the right. Now the tendency is for the body to come here. Stay upright and twist from the rib cage to the right. Feel your lat working right here. Feel the muscles along the spine working, your obliques, the side of your abs, those are working as well. Take one more breath in. Exhale, hands to the mat, step back, downward facing dog. Inhale your left leg up and back. Exhale, step it forward, crescent lunge. Lift that back heel forward and up. Arms forward, arms up, but bend that back knee, lift the hip points up. So you're taking your hip points up toward the ceiling. Arms reach up. If you want to straighten out that back leg, but try not to come into this back bend. All right, notice if your pelvis is starting to tilt forward, lift it up to more of a neutral position. Turn the palms forward, make fist. And then against imaginary resistance, elbows slightly lower than the shoulders. Take a breath in. Exhale, twist. When we twist, we want long spine, right? We don't want rounding. We want this length in the spine, and we want the twist to come from the rib cage, not the low back. Never think twist from the low back. It doesn't twist more than about 3 to 5 degrees. And if we try to force it, we can cause some issues down there. So stay here, twist from the rib cage where that is meant to twist. Pull your left hip back. So this left hip draws back a little bit. One more inhale. Exhale, hands down, plank. Last chaturanga to up dog, down dog transition. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. And then come down onto your shins. Lean onto one of your hips to a seat. Come all the way down on your back, just like the first 3 videos. We'll end in bridge pose. In future videos, maybe we'll add in some other back bends like wheel. But from here, or camel. From here, just take your feet a little bit wider than your hips. Turn your heels slightly in. Take a breath in. Exhale, press into your feet, lift your hips up. As you lift up, dig your heels in, pull them back towards your shoulders. Lean onto your right shoulder, get your left shoulder underneath you a little bit more. Lean onto your left shoulder, get your right shoulder underneath. So you find this stable, tight base. And then press down a little bit more to lift up. Just take a few breaths. Maintaining that Ujjayi breath. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. One more breath in. And then slowly come all the way down. Take your feet as wide as your mat or a little bit wider. And then draw your knees in towards each other. Anytime you take a back bend or deep back bend and you're done with your back bends, you want to make sure you have a neutral spine. And what you can feel by neutral spine is just a little bit of lift of your low back off the floor in its natural curve. So you're not trying to accentuate and create a deeper back bend, and you're not trying to force it out. You're just being here with a little bit of lift in your low back. And then extend your legs long. Extend your arms long. Allow your body to completely soften into the floor. Close your eyes, Shavasana. Let go of that Ujjayi breath we've been working all day. And as always, I encourage you to stay as long as you can in this position. Just learning how to find comfort in the quiet, comfort in the stillness. Otherwise, slowly start to roll towards your right side. With as little effort as possible, please make your way to a comfortable seat towards the front. Eyes closed. Bring your hands together in prayer position, heart center. Slide your thumbs towards your forehead, towards your third eye. Take a final deep breath in. Namaste. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some foundation for your Chaturanga, so that way you feel a little bit more comfortable. I would say until you are comfortable with Chaturanga with your knees down, maintain your knees down. But the key is, again, you want the chest broad. Anytime the shoulders start to roll forward, you put yourself in a compromised position with the front of your shoulder. So we want shoulder blades together, shoulder blades down the back. Elbows down by the side ribs, hands, wrists in line with the elbows as much as possible, not here, okay? Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. You should see that button popping up any minute now, or if it's not already up there right now. Number 4 will go live tomorrow, so check it out tomorrow for part 4 of 8. Revisit as you need to, and let's keep building the foundation for a successful, healthy, strong yoga practice. Namaste.